This is just extraordinary. AIPAC is funding the opponent of Jamal Bowman in the primary that's coming up in about a month.
Oh, yeah. And they took out ad space in the Knicks game last night on the national broadcast. So that was fun to see. And it's a group that's pro-Israel. Curiously, they don't mention Israel at all in the ad.
This one's called the UDP, the United Democracy Project.
Here is George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. I didn't really know much about him. I mean, obviously, I'm a big supporter of Jamal Bowman, both in the context of his stances regarding Israel and in the context of that district, too, but just more broadly speaking. But I didn't realize what a absolute... I mean, I suspected this guy was just a party hack. But what an absolute,
horrible person.
Horrible. I don't even know what to say without cussing, frankly. Here he is on Katz and Cosby. And I don't think, this guy's going in to try and win this district by ginning up anti-black fervor, and he's running in a Democratic primary in New York. Here he is on with Katz and Cosby, WABC.
Just a question. Elliot Engel was representative from that, in essence, of that district, and yet Bowman beat him in a Democratic primary in 2020.
Pause it for 1 second. I don't know if people remember this, but Elliot Engel, there was a rally, and I can't remember what the rally was for. It was, do you remember?
On police brutality.
This
was 2020, so this was in the George Floyd year.
And Engel gets caught on camera.
Hot mic.
Saying to people there, please let me go on. I would only be here if I wouldn't be here if I wasn't running for real.
The quote is, if I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care, he said on a hot mic.
Yeah, worse than actually I even remember.
Imagine not waiting at least till you're home to say that.
I feel so compelled to say this. This is a guy who wasn't in the district at all. I mean, he wasn't doing his job. And so even just the question of how is it that Elliot Engel got beaten by Jamal Bowman? And Latimer's answer is really something. I mean, this is in New York, folks.
And yet Bowman beat him in a Democratic primary in 2020. How did he do that?
Well, I can give you some opinions that, first of all, 2020, as we all know, is a very strange year. You had COVID and a whole lot of restrictions that were in place. And everybody, one of the things you may recall that Governor Cuomo did was authorize an absentee ballot to be sent to every single voter. And when you do that, people who don't normally vote wind up voting in this primary. So
pause it. When have you, think of the contexts in which you have heard somebody complaining that everyone was able to vote easily? Who are the people that complain about this?
Carrie Lake.
I mean, not just Carrie Lake. I mean, we can go back in history through some of the top 10 racists. But then you catch up to the Carrie Lakes. You catch up all to the right wingers. The idea that somehow now you could be saying well, we had finally in this era, in fact, we should continue to do this. We really heard from the people. We really heard. We had no obstacles to voting. We were able to get working class people, working poor people who were able to vote because it was made much easier. They didn't have to take time off from work. And it just, we expanded the franchise. Yep. And we really got a sense of what the district really wanted. That's not where he's going with this.
No, and I just want to say, because I covered this primary on the ground a little bit, and the voter suppression done, and this also happened in AOC's primary race 2 years earlier, by the New York State Democratic Party was fairly acute. And I spoke to voters who were waiting in line, and this was in June. I remember how dark it was. I was still out there talking to voters who were waiting in line to vote for Jamal Bowman because they closed so many polling locations in order to suppress the vote. So, like, this is a problem sometimes in blue states when these big party apparatuses, the big blue states, they act as Republicans in a way to tamp down progressives.
There were
California,
two
Massachusetts.
counties in New York State, incidentally, that were under the pre-clearance provision of the Voting Rights Act. I mean, people forget this.
Yeah.
But I think there was one in Queens. I can't remember where the second one was. But there were two counties in New York State, if I'm not mistaken, that were they needed to change their voting processes, needed to get clearance from the DOJ. This is before, of course, the conservative Supreme Court got rid of those provisions. But here, continue on with Latimer. This starts getting into full-on racist territory.
Evil guy here.
That were in place. And everybody, one of the things you may recall that Governor Cuomo did was authorize an absentee ballot to be sent to every single voter. And when you do that, people who don't normally vote wind up voting in this primary. So you have the abnormally high vote total that probably skewed results. You also had, as you recall, the death of George Floyd on the night of Memorial Day evening. That came 1 month before the election, and that generated a tremendous surge in the black community's concerns, anger, whatever. And the incumbent.
Are you allowed to say black?
Capitalized. I'm sorry?
Are you allowed to say black?
I don't know. I grew up in a black neighborhood. So
Okay.
There we go. Let's laugh about how all the blacks are, there's too much wokeness. This guy's running for a primary in a Democratic district in New York.
A large amount of AIPAC money, a good percentage of his spending comes from AIPAC. Also, prison prison companies supporting him. We also have this clip working.
It's amazing how not all incumbents lost that in that election in New York State. Isn't that amazing? Just the one with all the blacks.
This is also a Working Families Party clip of him talking about putting Medicare and Social Security. I'm talking about privatization of Medicare.
Are you for deprivatizing Medicare and expanding Medicare and getting Medicare Advantage under control? The Republicans are really big on expanding it.
I want to talk to you about it so I can understand your position. I haven't thought deeply about what provisions are there. All of that.
Are you for deprivatizing?
I guess the deprivatization might be confusing that issue a little bit, the way she posed that question. But he should have.
Well, I like the idea that a Democratic primary candidate has no position on what we should do with Medicare. Let me hear what your opinion is, and let me see how I can finesse this. You come from New York State. We're talking about Medicare. There's no finesse needed here. You say yes. We need to continue to expand Medicare. We need to make the benefits more generous, and we need to stop shoving people into Medicare Advantage so that they find out that they're getting ripped off.
Yeah, it is incredible to see how AIPAC is just basically, and other pro-Israel groups are funding these really right-wing candidates in races against the squad in the Democratic primary. We saw Summer Lee was successful in her primary race against a candidate named Bhavani Patel. Patel has, according to FEC records, received significant fundraising assistance from groups like Hindu American PAC, which worked to elect candidates supportive of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Modi is a member of the RSS, the world's largest far-right organizations, whose early leaders effusively praised Hitler and cooperated with British rule. She also just took a ton of pro-Israel money as well. But it's just a real, I think, really dystopian moment right now where these people are just sponges for extremely far-right talk and agenda points, and they just get funded by these groups that have a lot of cash on hand to try to take out some of the only representatives who are doing a good job in Congress right now.
I should say, apologies to Queens. It was actually Kings County and Bronx County.
Wow, so Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Kings County is Brooklyn, folks, for those who don't know.
I mean, AIPAC and Democratic Majority for Israel are his two biggest financial backers, and he doesn't include them on his endorsements, which I think tells you everything you need to know.
We'll have more to say about this race.
Oh, also, George Santos endorses him.
Oh, good.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.